Hey guys, welcome back. My name is Jason, the creator of I Am Legion for Dying Light 1 and 2, and tonight I will be continuing my development for this mod on 1.0. So I appreciate you guys so much. This is a special shout out to all the patrons that are joining and supporting the mod. I really truly appreciate your guys' support. Thank you guys so much. You guys will be receiving a special shout out when 1.0 releases later this week. The current plan is to release later this week. I do have to, I'm sad to say, my dog has been really sick these last couple of days, and so it has definitely not helped with first going live. So one of the reasons I haven't been streaming this week is taking care of the dog. I don't have time to really dive into this stuff before I have to get up and run and go look, and so and make sure the dog's doing okay. So I'm going to continue to try to keep up with it this week and be a little bit better about that. She is starting to feel better, so hopefully that will go smoothly. The current plan is to release by this weekend. And I've continued to run into a couple of bugs, so tonight my main focus will be trying to look at these bugs and figure out what's going on and try to improve some of those settings for this Patreon support release that I currently have up. So basically what I'm looking at tonight is the ongoing spawn code. So we now have bandits spawning into the world. We now have PKs spawning into the world, and it actually works really well. I'm super happy with how that's going. There is a little bit of like the conflict matrix where you have a couple of like the PK will attack the player and that kind of thing, but I really don't think that this is like game breaking enough for me to stop all development to take on that. I am going to try to look at doing custom conflicts. So after talking to one of the Patreons, Vic, where he's been constantly trying to look at these bandit classes, I'm going to try to look at doing a custom matrix to where we can actually maybe try to create new sides, create new conflicts, that kind of thing on the map. But again, a lot of this stuff is driven by their prefab system, and from what I've seen, this is all restricted. Basically, you can go and modify as much as you want, but something is stopping it from loading those prefabs or rebaking those prefabs into the game. So what I think they're doing is that they've pre-baked those prefabs using the engine, and so because of that, or I guess compiled is probably a better word, they're kind of set in stone with the engine. And a lot of that makes sense. Like, I get why they would do that, just because the whole engine would probably suffer some pretty weird instability if you started going and modifying main prefabs that are required for the game's success. So I do kind of get it, but at the same time, I really hope that's something I can continue to improve in the future, and I have been looking for that code to see if there's a way I could get it to recompile. So I'll continue to look and try to get those. If I can do that, then I can get in custom zombies. I might be able to get in some custom textures in the future, that kind of thing. So I'll continue to look for those loopholes. But for now, the bug that I'm going to be looking at now is a weird one. So basically, the overhead here is that I've redone the spawn pools again. I tried to set all this up with configs. That didn't work, so I was not able to actually get it to inject those names without it crashing. So I got pretty far down the list and things were kind of working until I started to realize that anyone that I set to a custom pool was just essentially not spawning. But there's some really weird stuff in here where basically it's still difficult to figure out which pools are actually working, because there are multiple files here that lead you to believe that everything should be working as expected, but then you find something's just not working. So there's this file in here called the area settings. These area settings are supposed to be going through and setting the different conditions that should be spawning into the world. So they should be listing the different pools that they're using. But the problem is are they? I don't know if they are or not, because I've tried doing things like replacing these pools. I've tried modifying these files. Sometimes nothing happens. Sometimes it just doesn't spawn anything. So I've had really inconclusive results with messing with this area settings as well. So this has also been kind of one of those, womp 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 kind of, I felt like I had it and then it just didn't work out. So I'm going to be working on trying to get that going, and so Let me actually, so real quick before we dive in too much, let me go ahead and try to share this. Let's see, cancel here. Let's try to go ahead and share this with the people on the Discord so that way they're aware that I'm currently working on it. And we'll continue this conversation here while I crawl through the code. So essentially, one of the things I kind of want to highlight and show off is like an example of the weird that's happening. And so I'll use this as a use case to try to fix and dial in this update for our Patreons. So basically the problem that I'm running into here is that, let me go ahead and stage the work that I've already done here, is that basically I've removed bolters from the main spawn list. So they're not supposed to spawn onto the main spawns at all. They're only supposed to spawn on when there's a special spawn. And so because of that, those special spawns basically end up with like the icon and a very specific spawn, like on a rooftop, that kind of thing. So what's happening here is that basically, even though I've gone through and I've updated this code to where it's only supposed to really be using bolters inside that special code or the special tags, it's blowing right through it. So it's basically sitting there going like, I don't care, I'm going to do whatever I want. And so when I get to the city spawns are now, it's kind of where I was trying to address where people have reported that there were no screamers. Well, I was like, okay, I can fix that, no problem. I redid all the spawn groups. I started looking at it, and then, hey, what do you know? Now all of a sudden we don't have hardly any of those working spawns anymore. We now have bolters running all over the map. We also have special infected that I've not added to the list also running around the map. So I'm going to be looking at that first this evening to try to get to the bottom of what the heck is going on with that. And once I start to figure out, what do I need to do to modify that system to get the spawns working correctly, then I'll continue forward with things like custom encounters and several of the other updates that I'm going to try to get in here before the release of 1.0. So let's go ahead and just pull up the game so that you can go ahead and kind of see what I'm dealing with. One of the things that I'm also going to be releasing here soon, so I'm kind of excited about it, I'm still testing it, is that I have created the official I Am Legion Reshade, and most of that right now is based on looking at the E3 2019-2018 and trying to get that original vibe that I'm going for. But on top of that, to try some darker nights, more speaker effects, that kind of thing. So I'm really trying to highlight things like the screamer mist when they're like screaming or whatever. They put out particles. I'm going to try to pop those particles in the night and that kind of thing, so that things like your flashlight are required at night. So that way it makes it scarier to go out and actually explore the city. And so I'll be trying to release that official reshade here soon, and I think that is going to show up as a official free, easy to access on the Patreon, so that if you guys want to head over to the Patreon, you can download the Reshade preset. That is not, you don't have to sign up, you don't have to do anything, any support. That's just more so that you guys can give your feedback, let me know if you like it, that kind of thing. Because it's kind of, that's the thing with the Reshade, is that I think I might come up with a couple of different presets for that, so that if you want like the standard color and then dial in the darker nights and stuff like that, I think I'm going to try to come up with a couple of different solutions there, so that it's not as cut and dry. But essentially what you can see here is that I've got this button set to toggle here. So if we press the end key, it'll toggle that on and off. And essentially what it's doing is that it's desaturating some of the crazier colors. So there's a lot of color inside the environment that is just really popping compared to the original release trailer. And so I'm playing around with this right now. It's not ready for release. Obviously, this is not in its finished state. I'm just continuing to try to play with shifting these hues and the different color values to see what I like, and once I dial in, what I'm going for as an overall, then I'll actually go ahead and release that reshade. So that's still in the works, but I thought I'd go ahead and share that. So we're now inside the city here, and this is actually where I'm starting to look at is this a save game bug? And we've talked about this for a while, of this concept that some people were saying that the spawns were showing one thing, some people were saying that the spawns were showing another thing. And so this is where I'm now trying to say, like, I'm using someone else's save game, so is this actually where we're getting that difference from my original save game? Because before I changed that save game, I didn't have bolters all over the city. But if you look down below, I've got bolters everywhere. And this is kind of what people were reporting before with the Banshees. But the Banshee code was always set up to where the Banshees, they were a high percent, but I wouldn't say that they were a high enough percent to show up as much as all of these other zombies. They shouldn't have showed up as frequently as they did. So now you can see where we've got bolters showing up in the city. So not sure what's happening here, so that's what we're going to start dialing in. We're going to start figuring out, what the heck is going on with these bolters, why the heck are they in the city, and hopefully we can balance out those spawn sheets a little bit more to where we can bring back the screamers, we can get the balance back in there, and get rid of these annoying bolters, because I agree, they're pretty much useless. They're not an adversary, they just run away kind of thing. So obviously we don't want them in the main area here. So if we go ahead and shut down the game, I want to go ahead and kind of show. So this is the AI preset pools. Through here, you can go and set up these different pools. And what I've done is as for the newcomers, basically, quick summary is that the injection did not work through the custom config files. That didn't work. It was causing the game to crash. So as a compromise, what I'm trying to set up is this ability to set up custom pools up at the top. So that the idea is that you find these pool groups that you're predefining, and then you replace. So for example, if I go in here and I'm like, okay, for the end game, I really don't want corruptors. Like I don't want a corruptor in here. I don't like them, that kind of thing. They should get out of the end game. Basically what you would do here is that you could use something like Sublime. And the biggest challenge here is that it does require you guys to do this. And so what I'm going to look at in the future, especially for the Patreons, for people supporting the mod as it continues on, is going and trying to make custom spawn groups that are based on your guys' preferences. So if you guys start to let me kind of know what you're going for, what kind of balancing, then I can first start this for the Patreons to try to say thank you guys so much for your support. And then I can continue to dial that in for the general pop. So that as you guys, continue to give feedback with 1.0, hopefully we can get some different spawn pools set up. But I was really hoping that this could be set up to configuration data, but I've already killed several days at this point. I think it's been I think just with the spawn pools, this has been about 3 to 4 days. So a majority of 1.0 has gone into the pool system, rebalancing percentages, cleaning up a lot of the non-lore friendly spawns, that kind of thing. We had before where you had like the burning zombie waving his hands that he would appear out of nowhere, and a couple of other ones that just didn't make sense to have in there. So I've gone through, I've cleaned it up a lot, and so I do like it a lot better. It's just now we need to dial this in a little bit more, try to clean this up. But okay, so here's the idea. Here's the concept here. So this is how I'm doing it, at least. Once I go in here and open Sublime, I can then navigate to the mod here. And once we get the mod open, so you guys at home would have to basically extract this file. So you would have to go into scripts, you would have to extract this AI present pools, and then you would have to basically do this replace yourself. So again, that's why I'm talking about possibly doing customs in the future, so that it's not as painful for you guys to have to do this yourselves. But so the idea or the concept is that if we don't like corruptors in the end game, we can go in here, select this pool, and this pool is what should show up lower. So it's deployed lower into all the lists. So then we can go in here to replace. We can paste in this pool. It will find all the matches. For this one, it doesn't look like it's fully injected in yet. So maybe I picked a bad example here. Let's go and say night pool exterior. I know this one is in here. So if we go in here, select these and say paste, you see there it has 2 matches. So, which is interesting. There must be a typo or something that is causing, which maybe that's a good place to start, is to find out why that didn't get more. But essentially, so we paste this again. And from here, if you didn't want banshees, if you didn't want screamers, if you didn't want whatever, you can just go in here and line out whatever you don't want on this pool and then hit replace all, and you're done. It will go through the whole list. It'll get rid of those guys, and this way we can start to dial the map in faster. So that's kind of the concept. That's what I'm going to be looking at tonight, and that's where we're actually going to start. So to that end, first we're going to start with bolters and try to understand where these bolters are coming in, why they're coming in, and try to clean that up, because right now they're not in the main code anymore. So for some reason they are showing up all over the map. So I'm going to try to figure out why that is. So let's go in here. We've selected bolters. This is finding 16 matches. So let's just go ahead and line. Let's hit save. Go here, we'll hit reload. If we scroll up, we should see that the bolters are now lined out. If we go ahead and throw in a search here, let's go ahead and say replace. And actually what I'll do is I'll search for ones without the slashes. So we'll say, and basically this will be without the percentage. So I think, and that confirms it, is that everything should be at this point, this 2% chance to spawn. And that should be all that's in the level list, as just these a 2% chance to spawn banshees throughout all these different pools. If you look here as we're scrolling through, so they are spawning on the rooftops. So potentially it could be the rooftop code. And I guess I probably should have thought of that, is that maybe they have, for the city, the rooftop string is not working, or the tag is not working. So because of that, maybe it's spawning down in the street. It's a theory. Let's go ahead and do some testing here and see if we got rid of them. So all we have to do is drag in scripts. Scripts is now added. So we should have that update. Let's go ahead and launch the game. And I guess the immediate assumption here is that we should have no bolters left in the map at all. And if we do have bolters, then obviously we have a glitch spawn. And so I'm kind of that glitch in spawn. Sorry, 1 second, it's loading in the game. I am hoping that if there is a glitch in the spawn, we can basically go in here and find out what is causing that glitch. If it's the bandits, whatever that might be, we can potentially get rid of that glitch, which will help lend to fixing this problem overall. So we'll just see if that is the cause, and see what we got. There you go. So it still has a bolter in there, but now what are those, chargers? Yeah, let's see what we got here. Those are goons. So we've got goons spawning in everywhere. And then chargers. Yeah, so obviously my code to get these goons running around the map looking for you, that worked. I think the problem is now is that there's probably one too many on the map being spawned in. And basically, this is the code that I use for the virals, or not the virals, but the volatiles. So essentially, the idea here is that they're running until they find you. If they can't find, oh, look at that. Huh. So I feel like that was a charger, but then when I grabbed him, it got turned into one. But it's over here. Well, we got our broken screamers back, that's for sure. Yeah, so that code is not working well for our goons. So that is going to have to get pulled out. Okay. So that worked with the banshees. So what I want to do now is that I'm assuming if that code worked for the banshees, for the bolters, sorry. So if that code worked for the bolters, then the idea here, first let's go through and we will clear out the goon code here that's getting them moving. Let's get rid of that. And then for these bolters, let's go through and basically turn them. Let's see if we can just undo here in the, yeah. So we want to hit save here. We want the special bolter showing up, but basically I think this, for me, I believe this confirms that the rooftop bolters are culprits. So let's start there. So let's say roof. We have, those are removed from here. Backwards real quick, just in case I missed one. No, they're good here. Also remove this and find out if, well, actually, let's stick to one at a time here. So if we say find next, let's go through here. I guess at this point, let's just say bolter. So tag rooftop. We should be able to go in here and say, this is our special pool. Okay. So let's go in here and say, find or replace. We search all of those. And this should only apply to our rooftop, but let's find out. We say replace, save, reload. Do that again, hit find. Place. Apparently it's only one place here, so the exterior hive potentially here. And the specials. So then there's the flooded area ones as well. So if we go in here and say, technically those should still be showing up. Hey, Hakura, I'm gonna try this. Haruka Matata. Harak Haruka Matata. Nice. Thank you so much. I appreciate the shout out. Thank you so much for being a supporter and a fan of the mod. Let me see if we can go through and say if it really is that one line, as far as that one that we just replaced, then I'm actually a little concerned about that because that should only be this night exterior hive, which if the hive is causing it, then because it looks like that's really the only one that should be happening with is the hive. So there's potentially there's some overlap here where some of the pools that they created are getting used in different areas when certain things didn't work out. Potentially they added different pools to different spaces on the map. I guess one of the easiest way to find out is doing this replacement setting so that you can just kind of quickly test and determine. I mean, the problem with it is that it's such a crapshoot at this point, trying to determine what is causing that problem. We'll have to look at what caused. I was experimenting with these different colors, but I think coming back to this, I actually really don't care for the changes that I made to the color. So I have to kind of dial back some of those things that I changed, but essentially I think I ended up moving a lot of these into that realm of where a lot of these were modifying the color here. It's vibrance, that's what it is. Curves. Vibrance setting. And essentially, basically, they at the last second they went through and they added all of these like redwood trees and these like really red signs to the world, and they're fine. It was just what I'm currently trying to play with is kind of bringing certain colors back down to where it's a little less. There's a game, and I'm trying to remember. I don't think it's not Borderlands. There's a game that I'm trying to think of that I would say is representative of what they did with the cartoon style. Um, One of the examples is there was this old game way back, Aliens versus Predator 2. And the crazy thing about this game way back was they released this demo, this downloadable free demo, where if you downloaded this demo, the game was crazy scary. I mean, just like as a kid, scared the hell out of me. And they made it really dark, really hard to see the world. You know, you had aliens out there. The like pulse rifle was sitting there dialing in, so you actually could see the aliens coming down on you, kind of thing. And it just blew my mind how scary this game was. And then later on, they actually removed most of the darkness. They removed most of the blood decals, most of the like things that made the game creepy. And they went in there, and it was like before they had like these Marines in the suit, in like the military gear that the movie had on, and they dialed all that back and gave them like, you know, one of the characters' names was like Frost, and so it's like in the game he had like Frost stamped on his head, and he had like cigarettes on him and that kind of thing. And they went in there and put like a giant snowflake on him at the end release, and he was like half his armor was like blue like winter, and it was like, oh, this is cute. And it just completely changed the mood of the game, like immediately changed the mood of the game. And so it's always for me, that early on, that was always a lesson as a designer of like how much color and doing imagery and that kind of thing into your game can change, the overall flow and feel of the game itself. And so with trying to do like a simple reshade here, you can try to target certain colors and at least pull them down a little bit so that they're not so cartoony. Not that I have anything against them. Again, it's just more that like if you want the game to feel dark and ominous and that kind of thing, the more bright reds and super neon greens and cool techno cyberpunk looking kind of color is probably just not going to convey that as much. So I'll continue to look at that. All right, so we saw that the bolters are still there. So what I think is happening here is I think in the cities, we may actually have one of the special pools is broken. Um, to where even though this tag says special, and let me confirm that there's not like a typo in here or something like that. All of these should say and then also I guess so to fix the problem, it was definitely not the flooded area bolters either. They were just the standard bolters, this 2% bolter. So somewhere in here, possibly this night exterior. This is like the generic R1 exterior. So I might go through here on the bottom ones. They have these region ones down at the bottom. But there's only 3 of them. I thought that they were leftover code. Because basically they went up here and they made these pools designed for each region, and then down below that they then have pools for 3 regions. So either it's where they're dialing in the difficulty on the top ones, and this one is more of an overriding to the entire population. But you can see here that like there's just no way. So well, it's obvious to me, but like this zombie doesn't actually exist anymore. So region 1 doesn't actually exist. And a lot of these other ones, for example, have been replaced by my custom zombies, and things still spawn. Um, so I'm guessing most of these don't actually work. But for shits and giggles, let's go ahead and kill this first. Let's go ahead and get rid of the zombie or the bolters down here, and at least just confirm that it's not those. So the ones down there are the quest ones, so we're not worried about them. We did just line out this other one, so that's lined out. So let's see what this one is. This is Night Exterior R1. We know goons work because and that seems to be the problem, is that when you fix one of them, it doubles down on another one. Yeah, exactly. The Dying Light 1, and sorry, I'm kind of keeping off to the side here. I've got the comment box. Uh, Dying Light 1 was way more atmospheric. I remember, I think one of my favorite things about Dying Light 1 was the creepy water. I always wanted to do more with the water, to actually put zombies out in the water, that kind of thing, to put hidden loot and that kind of thing out in the water to make that worth it. You currently just kind of use the water to swim between points if it got too difficult, kind of thing. Um, but I always wanted to make that water so much creepier. But I felt like the atmosphere of the super dark nights and then these like creepy lakes and different areas provided this like really eerie kind of, there could be something in the water. But then you play long enough and you're like, oh, there's nothing in the water. So I always wanted to go in there and add things to the water. So when I go back and look at Dying Light 1, you guys best believe I'm going to try to put stuff in the water. So just a heads up on that for anybody watching. Oh, yeah. That one scares the hell out of me. So Let's see here. So and just know every time I launch, it's going to take a moment. It's going to kind of glitch out, and so it'll take a second to come back. After looking at the code, I would really like to hear the developer's backstory. But I think what happened was is 2018. I was watching the videos where they were comparing, the final release versus the. Um, okay, so that did not work. So they're still in. So I won't waste time jumping down there. They're right there. So I think what happened was is that in 2018, 2019, they got super excited about the release of this game, and they started putting out all these E3 videos. And I really feel like what happened was they got everybody hyped up on this concept of the different um, technical things that they were doing inside the game, and I feel like they may have overstepped, and I don't know which one it is, but I feel like they overstepped on a feature, and then they kind of like had to double down. And this is just my guess, but I feel like then they had to double down on trying to get that feature to work properly. And in the end, they ended up maybe not being able to get that to work properly. Maybe they even ran out of funds trying to like get that one promised feature. Like maybe it was cars, maybe it was something they did promise. I mean, in all the videos they had like working cars. Horses are all throughout the game. They have horse code everywhere, but you don't have actual horses in the game. So maybe they tried to make horses like a thing, and so potentially it was they were trying to get one specific feature going and working really well. That didn't work, and so then potentially they had to cut funding for other things because they no longer could get that one thing going. So maybe they cut resources somewhere else because they had all of this code for like regions and special zombies. I'm going to let this load really quick. They had little pieces of code everywhere that had these different regional zombies, different expanded areas. That in the game they don't have it, and so I really wonder if at some point they realized that they had to cut costs somewhere of forcing a system to exist in a game that was kind of not. I mean, people would have probably crucified them if they had released the game with alpha level content, and I get that. I mean, they did for a lot of the things in the game at first release. So because of that, I feel like what they did is they basically just dumbed down the system. They pulled the okay, so it was the end. It was either the end pull or the D9 pull. So yeah, I think what happened here is that they have so it's supposed to use their special code or their special tag to determine what can spawn in the environment. And I think that's not working. I think that's broken. And what I did was is I followed the standard of saying like, oh, okay, well these were specials everywhere else, so it must be true of this area as well. And I think it lost the balance. Now I'm really curious. I guess the goons off in the distance are smaller. Because watch this. Watch that goon. So I think that's where they upsized them in the code, and the further away they are, they just doesn't have the ability to scale them yet because they're too far away. Never actually been chased by like 50 goons. Curious. And lately, I'm gonna try to look at this too. I do feel like there is some. I've been trying to balance the detection code, and I feel like I went too far with the detection code, because I did want to dial these guys down a little bit to make it to where basically if they see you, they then run after you. Okay, good to know. Um, I'll take a look at them. So I think it's these. So right here we have these special tags. They're not working. So essentially, I think what we'll just do is that we'll just try to dial it. Um, we'll just try to dial it in as best as possible. For so where's the night? Where's end? So let's start with end and turn this back off and see if that's what I'm looking at here. Tedious, slowly but surely. But I am actually really glad that it turned out to be this and not something else, because I do have enemy bandits and that kind of thing spawning into the map now. And I was really worried that that was breaking some of the code, by spawning humanoids in like an infected spawn. I didn't think that that would be the case because they made the spawn super generic. So I thought that would work, but also then there was this glitch. So sorry, I was giving that a second. So uh, Matata is what I'm going to call you because I can't say the first part for whatever reason. Too late in the evening. Um, her actually Haruka Haruka Matata. Um, so with the exploders, with the drowners, what about the drowners is missing? Is it the animation? I mean, I remember the ones from the first game. You know, they would stumble up to you and they kind of arch, and then they would blow up. Is that? I mean, these guys are simple. They literally run at you and they blow up, and then you get knocked to the ground. So, is there some action you would rather see? Is there, maybe it doesn't knock you to the ground kind of thing? It does more damage? Like, is there a specific functionality that you would like to see instead? So they're in here. So this is the D9 code. So the D9 code is setting these guys in this area right now. So I'm going to go ahead and just start. Go ahead and just start by potentially. I think this is the reason that this got turned back on and it's kind of hidden here at the end. I think that is one of the reasons that we end up with so many suiciders here. Let me see if we can find more of those. Nope. So it was not the end zombies that were causing it. It was the 9, which I think is up here. We go back, say infected night population, D09, and then can't be it though. So we go in here and say bolter 2. Let's get backwards. Not exterior. That was the interior that we were looking at there. So for this, well, wait a second. It was the end because I left D9 off and I turned back on ending. Okay, so it really is the ending code here. So I'm guessing I'm going to need to balance these for all of them. Basically, we want screamers to show up. We want spitters to show up. Suiciders at this point are going to go super low. Spitters are going to stay at 8. Goons are getting thrown in everywhere. So that ain't right. They're at 2. I have started to wonder if there's something in the code where they're potentially reading 5 as 50. I've seen before where they abbreviate if there's only 1 in there, and it makes sense if there's only 1 in there that they set it to where it's just 1, but they don't set it to 100. So because of that, there could be a glitch here where it's doing the, and I'll tell you what is it in the default at this point? It's been a minute since I've looked at the default. Let me run back to the default here. And let's see what they're setting up as specials in these environments and at what number. Because maybe this is where I've added specials and specials no longer exist. So we want to go down to difficulty 8, difficulty 9. It's my fault. Maybe. Hang on. No. So it's a screamer, and it's set to 150. So maybe there's something wrong with their... Maybe there's something special about their spawn code here, where specials have been increased. So I think what we need to do here is, this is pretty straightforward. It's kind of obvious. They have these in the regular pools, and then the special tag only has screamers. I'll honor that because you know that they are actually still putting these other special zombies in the environment. Like, there's no way that they're not. So let's go in here and fix these special tags for now. And I'm going against what I recommended, which is replacing rather than doing this special thing that I'm doing right now. So let's go in here and say find, replace that. Basically, let's go through here, say paste, replace. It's going to do that 1. I'm going to hit replace again. We undo the bolter. I'm assuming this will start finding him again. No. Reload. This is the screamer, about up here. Probably just a spacing thing. About 7 of those, so place those. That should get all of the other areas. And I'm a little less worried about the other areas. I guess the question is that they must actually have the specials that are getting spawned with the icon. I'm pretty sure I've actually seen those coming in through the event or the encounter code. So maybe I'm wrong here. Maybe if we go in here, say bolter. Didn't find a bolter there. What about AI life population? Area? So I guess maybe I've been wrong this whole time about how they're getting their specials in the game. I guess easy enough to find out. Is this the original? Yeah, so this is the original. If we go back up here to like D2, just early on, you can see that the special tag is still only on Screamer. I really spaced on this one. That is definitely my bad. So that's the reason that the Screamers are showing up, is that they're putting them at some massive weight with the special tag. I can't believe I missed that. But they're putting the special tag only on the Screamers and then bumping that through the roof. And what's weird though is that they've got the other infected in the main populace, but I feel like I didn't really see a lot of these guys in the core game. Sorry, Tada, I just saw your notes over here. Better functionality. Yeah, so they're pretty simple now. What I might be able to do is, especially now that the spawn code has gotten so intense, we now have 20 times the number of zombies in the game as the vanilla game. Potentially what I could do is that I could look at changing the logic for the exploder to where potentially they do other things as well. And then if you do damage to them, kind of thing, like if you fight them, then they blow. So that way it makes it a little bit more like you have to like kick them, or you have to do something to like get them away, knock them off of ledges. I don't know yet, but potentially there's something that I could write in there that basically changes their end game to where they don't just run at you, blow up. Potentially there's something more fun we could do with them. So my guess is that we've now fixed the issues with the spawn pools. I can't believe I missed that. But that makes sense that if they really were just boosting the hell out of that one spawn, why people would be complaining that that one spawn doesn't really show up. Because I think what's happening is that I was replacing them with all the other zombies. Which to that point, what I might do really quickly is now, especially that they're running around, let's see how bad this is. Instead of just doing the Screamers, because I know the Screamers are going to work. Let's test really quick. Why not? Just load it up, see what it looks like, see if we hate it. Start there. Because what I might do is this might be how I bring in the volatiles again and just make sure that the volatiles are also getting spawned into the main map. They're already getting spawned into the regular pools, but I guess it wouldn't hurt to also then say, if you increase the density of the special AI distance, you get more volatiles into the main map. I think that would be a bonus. Of course, you also get more Screamers. Let's go and test really quickly. No. While this is loading, I guess that's a consideration. So in an earlier video, I think I mentioned the fact that they've pre-baked everything as far as the different zombie types. you can kind of glean on different parts of the code for the different types. What are those spitters? Chargers? Those chargers? What are chargers doing in here? One glitch to the next. So chargers at 1%, 2%. That makes little to no sense. Okay, starting next, I guess, with the chargers, we'll take a look at. Oh, those aren't chargers. No, wait. These are chargers. Yeah. So where are the exploders? Because chargers are like annoying, if anything. It's like I don't really want to fight you. I just want to get away from you. Definitely helps reinforce the fact that I want to get off the ground around these guys. A spitter. We got spitters. So now let's go in here and look where the chargers are. Because that really doesn't make that much sense, because we go down here to difficulty ending. Oh, well, there you go. That's why. Okay. It's because I didn't update that last one. So let's go in here to Screamer. 50. Okay. And I think that's why, right there, I think that's why people were getting certain ones when they would load the game. They would get certain ones spawning into the map and not others. Is because of that. Yeah. I think that is why that is. Let's confirm. Because I think what it's doing is it's going down the list. It's selecting one of the ones in the pool. It's spawning them at 150 or whatever crazy boosted amount they've got for special tags. And then it has no room left for anybody else. Just like that, we now have our screamers back. This is my favorite thing, is press the flashlight. So the spitters are now or the screamers are now roaming. So they're actually roaming around the map randomly. And so if you look down here, it's actually pretty cool. You can see that the screamers are now patrolling the streets below. Let's see if we can do this right this time. So if he loses you, they're kind of moving through the map. I originally had these guys climbing and doing different things like that, but I actually really like this better because it makes the ground so much more dynamic. You at least have the roofs, so you can escape to the roofs and you don't have to worry as much about screamers getting up on the roofs and screaming at you. And I think what I might do is I might bring the I might bring the spitters back to the rooftops, as in have them climb and that kind of thing. But I really like how the howlers now patrol the map. And I guess this guy just got stuck. But you can see now that these guys are just kind of walking around hunting the map for you. And I really like that. So we have our spawn bug fixed. Turns out it's because of me. Don't like that answer, but at least it's an answer. So let's confirm. Should be quick and painful. Coming. And that's probably my favorite part, is that they start coming from all around the map. They start screaming, and here they come from different parts of the map to also start screaming. It's a lot of fun. And I'm guessing that this is a no climb zone. It's taking them a good amount of time to get up on here. Said this was about to be painful, but it's actually a fun way to test how many of these screamers I can get into the area. So they only gave them one access point, I guess, which is this air vent. Thank you, Grapple, for making this relatively painless. I have also read your guys' feedback. So a lot of people have mentioned the bug where the kick causes them to only head one direction. Well, that is not a glitch. That is actually where their heavy kick actually only pushes them in one direction. So if their hit reaction is type heavy, then I actually didn't know this, but it's then causing it to knock them in a single direction over and over again. What I'm going to try to upgrade with this is making it to where they get knocked in different directions. So I think I might be able to change some of the system to where it actually can knock them in different directions. And I think that's just a limitation of that heavy kick, because I think it's based on you kick them and then you kick them and then a heavy kick occurs. So by that time they're already stumbling in the pathway that you assume. And so I think they're doing something like that to make that easier. I see we've got some more people to join. Thank you guys so much for joining here. Hey, Will, tried the Walker version. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that, Will. Thanks for stopping by. I appreciate your feedback and your support. Look forward to releasing 1.0. Hopefully, you guys enjoy that even more. And then, David, welcome so much, or welcome to the room, and I'm glad to have you. And hope you're doing well over there. So let's go see what we have down in the city. So based on the spawn code, we should now still have PK down there in the streets. We should have bandits down in the streets, that kind of thing. Let me make sure now that we've fixed some of this logic that that is still true. That was quick. If these guys aren't defaults, I hope I didn't just, I did. That's annoying. All right. Obviously, they're spawning. If we walk down the road, you'll see that we have more PK, but we actually have Bowman, which I love. I have Bowman in the maps. Got a couple of zombies out here, and PK who's about to take care of them. We also have PKs under these archways here, which it's a little hard to know what is default and what is new. I will say that yes, this report that we have some PK mad at the player, that is confirmed. I'm curious. So this is a glitch with the spawn code. I have seen this before, and I was mentioning this to Vic on our Discord channel that I have seen this before. I am curious if this is based off of a glitch in the conflict matrix. If we move over here, what we should see is that if they are somehow identified as bandits, then their conflict charts will tell them to attack these guys. But it doesn't. So they really are PK. The difference is that they hate me versus the other ones. They don't care. So I'm going to try to lean a little bit into their system to learn more about this, to see if there's a way that I can make them spawn to where they're not doing that. But I do absolutely love these streets now. They are absolutely covered in spearmen, in Molotov throwers, and bowmen. All these different types are now on the streets. They are dangerous. They are taking out zombies, so they are competing for making the streets more deadly. And so we no longer have this idea of I'm going to run around. It's a couple of daytime zombies that are really easy to dispatch. We now have to care that there are bandits in the streets and they all want to kill you. And what I'm going to try to write tonight as well is maybe kill each other. So we'll see if I can get in some custom code. Vic mentioned this earlier, this idea of how do we get the different gangs to actually fight each other so that they're not all on the same side. And so, and here we go. I love these. So I've been really enjoying these conflicts where you end up with PK versus bandits. That has been happening a lot more lately, and I absolutely love it. So the streets are now a war of PK versus bandits, and you're kind of stuck in the middle. At lower levels, this is going to hurt. And for 1.0, I'm going to try to buff some of these things a little bit to where if you get hit by a two-handed blade, you got hit by a two-handed blade. I was playing this the other day and I got hit by a two-handed blade, and let's see if we try it now. What? I'm sorry, and just he's got a two-handed sword with a lawnmower pole. What about this guy? What does he do? He's just so piss poor. At this higher level, these guys should be doing serious damage, and so I'm going to continue to balance that out. But the idea here is that we've got them on the streets. We do have to care now about running down the street during the day. We do have bandits in the area. And what I'm excited to find out from you guys is what does this result in as far as storytelling? So now we're going to have these guys actually down in the map while the quests are happening. So did you get saved by a group of PK? Does that make the game feel more rewarding for its environment? Did you get ambushed by a group of bandits? I'm working on writing some custom encounter code to where I'm also hoping that this will cause special encounters to happen as well. So you should get special encounters down in the streets amongst all of this warfare that's currently going on. Oh, I love it. Because we got the zombie PK that they've murdered the other PK, but they can't get away from the zombie PK. No, don't look at me. And the more I was messing with this the other day, the more I really like this idea that the more they succeed, so the more they clear the streets, the more numerous they get. So if they wipe out the zombies that are down on these streets and start grouping together, if they follow you, if you let them actually follow you through the streets, now you've got a problem because they're actually gathering in numbers, and now you have to worry about the fact that there's a larger force of these guys going to walk through the fire? These Molotov guys are assholes, man. But I also like the fact that there's right here an undead renegade right next to, and of course he got lit on fire by the renegade. So let's see what happens when the bandits attack the PK stronghold here. Warm up. I don't know if that's going to help against a Molotov. See, and I love it. You got the undead kind of shuffling around there. It's a bad day to go up against this outpost. But this is also what I'm trying to see. So we've got so many PK down here now that this actually feels more like an outpost. This actually feels like they're down here for a reason, that they're trying to keep the streets safe. And if we just go a short ways down the road, we'll probably continue to see PK. So it makes sense that they're trying to clear street by street. They're going out here trying to establish this area. We have this obvious, where that failed, where they didn't make it. They tried to take out these different groups and they got overwhelmed. So the streets are now just like really coming to life, and I'm really enjoying this. And I look forward to seeing all of your guys' reactions in the early streets as well, because this applies to the to Villador as well. So this is not just a specific to the city. It's actually also for the early game as well. And so I think this will help flush out that city and make that city feel a little bit more alive during the day and way more deadly at night. Okay, well, that was definitely an overview of the day spawns. So now that we have this, so far I've only got like one group of PK that spawned in wrong, and I really do think it's an encounter. I don't think it's random spawn. I think it's a specific group of PK that are getting spawned in from an encounter. That's causing them to want to fight you, because these guys all seem pretty lax, pretty straightforward. Working on their code to detect enemies. So I actually found in the vanilla game where they essentially set these guys up where they have this auto detect system, where they're now saying like, okay, I've now auto detected that you don't like zombies, that you're not friends with the zombies, so therefore I'm not friends with the zombies. And it actually takes some additional computing time to determine zombie bad. And so I've gone through and I've tried to update that. I don't know if it's actually working. You know, in that case, we just had that guy just kind of standing there. So there's some potential here that is still not working. But I've been trying to find. So what I'm trying to do right now is I'm trying to find that one encounter where there is the PK that are not my friends. So for everybody watching, also the interiors. So the interiors have now been flooded, officially flooded. So the interiors during the day, you will find all of these special infected from night. They're hiding indoors, and if you get too close to the buildings, they'll start flooding out of the buildings and coming at the players. This includes NPC characters. So if you have PK get too close to these buildings while you're heading downtown, they'll start to come pouring out of the building and attack the player and the NPCs as you're getting closer. So that is also a super fun update that is specific to 1.0. And something I want to continue to try to balance out because these interiors are basically just like, you know, you wouldn't. I don't know if maybe in the later game you would go in here and break all your weapons trying to clear every single one of these, but it's a challenge. But so also some of the code on here, I have actually change some of this. So this is my Romero Shuffler. So it's a version of the mod that I'm going to be releasing as well. Is that you have these Romero Shufflers that very Walking Dead esque that will move around the map. They move slower, and so they'll be less of a threat immediately. But when they get closer, they'll then come at the player. So for people that want to play the Romero style, that's now available. For people that want to play the more difficult version, that will also be in here as well. So I do have a kind of a easy way to turn that on and off. And so I'm going to release a version that is more geared towards the Romero Shuffler for everybody that wants the undead that are just kind of slow Walking Dead zombies that shuffle across the city. But that is also still something that I'm trying to balance and get working correctly. As you can kind of see, one of my concerns with that system is that they all kind of start to sync up. So they all, all start to kind of look the same. And so it does kind of break some of the immersion that they're all, slowly shuffling the exact same. And so that's probably more specific for the people that really want to play that play style. And so, hopefully an exciting update for you guys that are big on the Romero zombies. Okay, so let's go ahead and start balancing some more. So let me just peek around the corner here, see if there's any still PK are my friends. This is actually, I've circled back to where they were not my friends. Oh, they're dead now. So actually, this does help. So these guys are now spawned where the guys were before. So I think this is an encounter. Ooh. And potentially those were the ones that were not my friends. So let's see how close it spawns me. But potentially that does confirm that it is a encounter, because if it's an encounter, then that encounter will keep showing up kind of in that area. Did I do it? Did it. Hey, made it back. Okay. So potentially those guys down there are not my friends. Here's these zombies. Let's go take a peek at these guys. Yeah. Oh, even better. Hiding on the bus. I really like that. Other than the fact that I think he just shot through the bus. I really like the archer on the bus approach. Oof. It's going to get me too. Okay. Let me just confirm really quick that these PKs do not attack me. Maybe they should have. Like the range on this thing. And one of the things I'm going to continue to try to look at is the idea of clearing the streets and them raising from the dead. Um, let's see. I've got a couple of comments. Let me try to get caught up here. I got too immersed in the game. I was having too much fun. Let me try to get caught up on your guys or let me try to get caught up here. David, let me come back to your question. NC, since cool, honestly, if you're background noise. Hey, Shuffles or Snuffles, thanks for joining. And I'm glad I could help with the background noise. Hopefully, you enjoy watching as you're playing. Let's see, for both talking about it for months, namely for me first thing. They stuck. Yeah. Well, I think here in the future, I do have high hopes that they will patch some things, that they'll fix some stuff as they go. I'm sure everybody does, but I will also try to bring some new features to the game in the meantime, make the game a little bit more worth your money. Is what I'm hoping to do, and for all of you guys that hang tight and watch, and 5 years from now you actually go play, that might work out well. Uh, Dying Light 1 apparently still has content coming out for it, and it's 6 years later, so they might do the same with Dying Light 2. I am interested to see what comes next for this game. Uh, David, or is it David? I think it actually might be David, but I apologize if I got that name wrong. Um, Please just let me know on here, one way or the other. But basically, I'm old school. 2008, I started. Well, actually, more like 2006, 2007. I started doing IT. I was very interested in IT. That got me inspired to look into coding, where I was doing operating systems. So I was really excited about doing modified operating systems. So I got into C++. Went with formal education into computer science. It ended up being right around that time where 2008, 2009 was when the stock market went south with all of the housing crisis and all that other nonsense. Things started getting outsourced here in the States. This was before the dawn of the smartphone and the app came around. And so jobs in computer science started to look less likely. It started to look like a lot of network security stuff. So pretty much end up in a basement somewhere, defending some company's server. Super boring. Didn't really want to get into it. And so because of that, game development was kind of it was very difficult to get into back when I was a kid, that kind of thing. And so because of that, I was sitting there going like, I gotta, figure something else out. I had all these people coming to my school to get away from computer science while I was going for computer science. Ended up joining the Navy, did 6 and some in the Navy, got out of the Navy, went into design. So I did a 4-year traditional design program, where now I'm doing design, creative direction for a company that we're doing VR training. And I lead the software team for my company where we do code daily. So we're actively doing development. I also have some designers as well. And we're looking at all sorts of coding challenges. But basically, not to bore you with any of that, basically, the crazy thing is that I work in gaming every day, and it's super inspiring what you can write, just across whichever language you're looking at. You can just anything that you dream up or think up. One of the hard things about, I guess, not to go all zen on anybody, but kind of the hard thing, a hard life lesson is that it's kind of like who you know or the money that you start out with as a kid. And with a lot of that, it's kind of like if you know people, you can get ahead by using those connections to get more money, kind of thing, because of family or your parents or however that goes. But when you don't have that starting off, I came from a poor background, and so because of that, if you don't have that stuff, Most of the time, you need resources to do things. Like I need money to buy hotels so I can make ridiculous money off of hotels, right? But I kind of found that there are several trades and skills out there that you can write $1 million code today. Nobody's stopping you. You can literally stop what you're doing, go write something that would make you millions of dollars. And it doesn't matter your background, it doesn't matter anything. It just matters, are you passionate about it? Do you have time to research what you're doing and build on the foundations that you need to build on to get there? I love that. I mean, it basically sky's the limit. What you put into it is what you get out of it, kind of thing. And so I think that's always been inspiring to me of saying, like, okay, what all could you do? I mean, you got a weekend, right? You got some time to play some games. Okay, let's start building games. Let's start, researching what else can we get into this game. It's fun, but what else can we get in there? How can we expand this? And so because of that, you're not fighting against, you know, I mean that's the best thing about code too is that you don't even need like a gaming system. You can write code with your phone if you wanted to. Pen and paper, you can write code. You probably want something better than pen and paper, but you don't need anything to start, and it can lead to real money. So if you're trying to decide between going and working a day job somewhere where you're in the service industry or whatever it is, most of the time your your hours are what are most important in that job because you're spending so much time that you're so tired that you don't have time and they're paying you less than you probably feel like you should earn in the service industry. Everybody does. But if you look into coding, it's really amazing that you could take something like coding and then find that niche that you're really good at and just soar. Like every day you find a new coding challenge, every day you find something interesting. And that's why I would 1,000,000% recommend it. I mean, I could be like, I could lose my job. I could, my entire life could change and I'll probably still write code. I'll probably still do designs. I'll do something because it's just like there are just so many different projects that you could get into that are just really interesting stuff. And then also, of course, the people you meet along the way that are also working on really exciting stuff. I mean, I don't knock that at all. If you can find the team of people that are inspiring to work with, it's worth waking up every day. So I hope that wasn't too long of a summary, but I will hype up coding all day. I think the one caveat I will add is the amount of coders that are being used up by game companies out there. So I think there is a balance that has to be struck there. But as long as you're being healthy, if you ask around, I'm probably not considered super healthy because I'm always working on something. But if you can find that balance in your life and be inspired every day, then I think it's worth it. Let me get back to your comment here, Snuffles. Exactly. Well, and it's what you make with it. It's always like, you can start with anything. You can start with nothing. You can start with resources, but if you don't know how to appreciate or use that, it can fall flat really quick. And so I fully agree with you. You just have to understand that, like, basically either you're just blowing your resources to have a good time, and that's fine. You just have to know how to build more resources so that you're always able to have a good time. And I think coding would allow you, if you don't pull your hair out in the process, I think coding would allow you, especially in game development, will allow you some very interesting environments for sure. Also getting into coding, that's awesome for Udemy. Oh, okay. Yeah, okay. David, nice to meet you. And that's awesome. What specific type of software are you trying to write with C++? Plus plus? Anything like what got you into it? And I'm gonna read everything you write. I'm gonna just also continue to crawl through here. Um, so we have our spawns working correctly. We have an encounter that's causing um, the enemies to come after you, but I'm not too worried about that. Let's go ahead and do a backup here of our code to make sure that this is fixed. Um, with the Romero zombies. Yeah. With the Romero zombies, I'm going to leave those on for now for testing. And so we'll use the Romero zombies version. Um, one of the things to prioritize here. So if the spawns are fixed, then we need custom encounters. So let's pull over to custom encounters really quick. It's 11:18. I do have to take. I mentioned a little bit earlier. My pup's been sick this week. That's really kind of kept me from being able to do a lot of the live streaming, that kind of thing. I do want to try to wrap up here very soon so that I can go take care of the pup, head to bed at a decent hour for work tomorrow. But I do want to take a look really quick here. And I mean, at least if anything, we got the spawns fixed. So for all of my Patreons, I think that will go a long way to making that a little bit more quality of life to play. Let me also, Vic over on the Discord has been amazing for providing lots of feedback. So let me pull his list up here um, to see. Okay, with the encounter for the PK, I'm gonna have to. I mean, basically, the area settings. That's great, David. I'm really glad to hear that. I will say that if I could give any half cent advice out there, not a full cent, half cent, um, is that the learning curve for game design is very hard if you don't have like a team or something that you're working with. So I would highly recommend modding if you haven't looked into modding before. Pick a game that you love: Fallout, Skyrim, whatever. Dying Light. Go to town on Dying Light. It needs it. Try to find a project that uses C++, plus plus, and then try to write some things that make sense to you. You still need to get the foundation, but I would recommend trying to find a project that you can apply what you're learning actively and that pays off. Just because you will get into those concepts. I like you mentioned that you started doing the online courses, so I'm assuming that it's not your day to day, so that you might be also working on other things. So the burnout rate is very high, and so I'm just recommending, as a way to help with that while you're also working in other fields. It also helps with word of mouth, meeting other developers, designers, that kind of thing. Because really, the goal here is, as game developers, is that we want to find like-minded people so that we can team up and make amazing stuff. So if you guys ever want to go into game design or you're in game design, hit me up. I am always working in design, in Unity. I am always working on game projects. I do have several things in the works beyond Dying Light 2 that I am trying to turn into actual products and that kind of thing here in the future. If you guys are looking for projects that you would like to work on, that you're very interested in joining a small team that works on different games and that kind of thing, I would love to work with you guys to try to come up with some fun ideas that we can release, potentially build portfolios together, that kind of thing. So never, please reach out if you're interested in those kind of things. I will absolutely take it all seriously and try to figure out with a schedule how we can actually go on to write some stuff, because this stuff's fun. So say, hey Ben, how's it going? That's great. Blender's taken over, man. Like, so I'm a traditional Maya guy myself, and I was looking at the kind of the videos the other day, and someone did this YouTube video where they're basically saying like the reason I left Maya behind for forever, and they were showing what they could do in Blender, And I think really Blender is a testament to a bunch of people that want to see it succeed because it's free and just going like, let's make this the best damn piece of software that's ever modeled, kind of thing. I feel like in a lot of features they've exceeded the big boys out there as far as tools, and it's really fascinating. Very nice. Well, David, you are flying colors. That is awesome. Congratulations. Are you using coding in your day job on the day to day? And I hope that's okay to ask. I'm just curious about where you're at right now, what you're working on, that kind of thing. Well, if you guys are available, if you've ever messed with the Unity engine, so I've dabbled in the Unreal engine, but I definitely am more of a Unity person just because I've been doing optimization and work in Unity for years, and so because of that, it just that's usually where I'm playing every day. That's what I do for my day job is work in the Unity engine. So if you're ever interested in working out some rough projects, I would absolutely be interested in that. And I will mention, you mentioned JavaScript and HTML and CSS. They just updated the Unity engine. Well, they haven't officially, but there's a new concept that they're creating for Unity for their Canvas system where you can essentially write all of it using HTML code and CSS. So you can make these like really responsive UIs inside of the game engine now. And that's one of those things that, it's just interesting, very interesting stuff. They're moving fast. Also, thank you so much for saying it would be an honor. It would be an honor to work with you guys as well. Um, and that's awesome, man. Congratulations, congratulations. That's awesome. Thanks, Ben. I appreciate it. Hopefully, you guys will have a very interesting game here soon that you guys can start crawling through and finding all the new ways to get into trouble. Hopefully, it will be a little bit better than the vanilla. I'm really starting to enjoy it, to be honest. What I'm going to look at really quickly is trying to find. I've done this before, didn't work out. I'm going to try to find our broken howler. If I can find that damn broken howler and then call it a night, I will be a happy man. So I'm going to look for him. Um, I thought that was you. You had the same icon, but thanks for putting the name to the icon there because I thought that was it. So I'm glad we've talked before on the Discord. So let's see. Basically, the thing that hasn't made sense with these encounters is that city overpassed our place. I'm trying to remember all the different ones here. So Barks Windmill, Storyteller. So Night. Actually, this is not going to get me as far as I'm hoping here. Let me say. And basically, what I've tried to do is I've tried to go to all of the infected that I think are causing it. Um, but let's just do another Hail Mary. I tried this a while back. Let's see if we can find it. So let's go in here. What we're going to do is basically let's back up everything, make sure that we're good. So let's say fix for spawns, spawn specials, now streamers. And what I might actually do now that we've tested and I've confirmed that all of that worked pretty good, The one thing I'm a little nervous that it's going to go through and just kind of replace instead of add on, but night exterior end. I've lowered the volatiles in a lot of these areas so that they would be a little less intense in the city, but I think I'm actually going to undo that and up them back to, let's go all the way to 25. So I think for our interiors, they should still be at 10. For all of our exteriors at night, they'll be 25%. So there's a higher percentage that you're going to run into volatiles while you're traversing the city, and now they'll be searching the city for you. So there's a higher chance that you're going to run into them. This can also be set up to the difficulty or compared to the difficulty. So because of that, I'm actually going to shed off 5% here. And let's start with this easy medium and let's see what we get and dial that in or continue to dial that in. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to go in here, find our encounter weight, and we're going to find our infected, and we're basically just going to line it out. So let's go in here. Oh, also, I guess real quick, say updated volatiles 20%. Push, get that updated, and then for the so let's go in here. That's going to wipe out so many things. The one that I'm going to leave. Really, was this lined out? Oh no. What's a nest screamer? I bet this is the resting. I bet that's him. I lined him out, I thought, during my testing, but that is looking pretty suspiciously turned on. So let's go in here, line that out, see how many of those there were. Decent amount. Let's just start there real quick and just see. So I'm going to go ahead and stage that so that we keep those changes. And let's go ahead and launch up and see what we get. Hopefully, if we can get rid of this one stupid howler. I took a look at this a while back, got disheartened, gave up for a little while. Let's see if we can get it. Hey Ben, if you're still on the line, what type of modeling are you doing? Are you doing hard surface? Are you doing organic? What's your poison? Might be easier to actually head back to the first area here. And so you can see here kind of the effect of that reshade. Right outside the base. I do like that. Look at that. Makes sense, right? Now PK are actually defending the damn base as well. Look at that. Running in, taking out zombies. Love it. What was that? Eye, maybe? It's something that's inside here. All right, well, that one's actually pretty funny. So he's supposed to be doing the zombie animation to break in the door. It's actually really fun. So we may. Oh, is that a? Huh, here at the end. That must be why. So let's see. Must be set up for that first area after the end game. And what I looked at, and what I might still include is, so there's this difficulty spawning all of these guys down into reasonable locations in the map. So like if we have them spawning on the roof, there's only so many rooftop spawns, and their spawn code I found, and I've tried to disable the code that was preventing spawns onto the roof. It didn't really seem to have an effect. I think they've basically set it up to where encounters are what's spawning on the roof. And so because of that, um, you have less likely chance for like PK to be up on the roofs, except in their little spawn locations. And so for that, what I've considered doing is adding the let's see, heading off. Hey, thanks, Snuffles. Appreciate it, man. Good luck. Um, what I've thought about doing is basically adding in a line, and I think the problem is that their code is very simple for the AI behaviors. But the thought was is like maybe I could add a line that would send them to the roofs, um, so that when they first start, they head upward. I think the problem with that is that I know that it's going to break some storyline, or somewhere in the game you're going to be playing, and then all of a sudden the guys are going to go scrambling up the walls or something like that, and it's not going to make any sense, and then everybody's going to be like, what the hell is this? And so I don't think I can get away with that for now. But so to show you guys what this looks like during the day, you can see here, and there's a good percent chance that there will be a uh, volatile in there as well. So, kind of the idea to summarize for you guys, if you're watching, wondering why the hell are the dark zones flooded during the day, it's because I'm hoping that. Look at him. He's like, zombie. Um, is that they're flooded during the day in the hopes that you will go back and try to do dark zones during the night. That you won't have to, or that you won't be trying to do dark zones during the day because the spawns are lower and that kind of thing. So the hope is that you'll go back during the night, when they've already come out of their hives or out of their dark zones, that they're now roaming the map, and so that will help players have an incentive to go out at night. But then also at the same time, they don't want to because night is crazy. So it's kind of a mixed bag, is kind of the hope here. Um, so we've just set it back to night, and I'm going to run through really quickly. And that reminds me, time was added to the config. So time is on the config now. You can go in there and set that time scale to whatever you need. Welcome back, David. So let's go in here, and basically what we're going to try to do is once night hits, there should be a certain number of zombies that start to spawn inside the city. Obviously, howlers start to spawn inside the city, and those annoying broken zombies or broken screamers should start showing up in the city as well. So let's give this a second and then basically say, oh, well. Let's give that a second, let the time crawl out to 1930. And let's see if that is less likely to occur now. So I looked through the code before, and basically there was this idea that screamers had this variant where they were sleeping, and at the last second they scrubbed it and they pulled it out of the code to where they were no longer able to sleep. And so I think what happened is that in the vanilla game, you ended up with a variant of screamer that would spawn onto the map that was supposed to be sleeping, or was supposed to have an animation of them sleeping or something, and it got deactivated from where they pulled it in the code. So now you occasionally get this screamer that is just standing there and sounds like metal when you hit him. So I've never understood why that one's in there, but hopefully this will help take care of that. So, minutes. Exactly. I'm just saying your comment there, David, but exactly that. I think that's what's happening is that the code is missing, and so because it's missing, it just glitches all the way out, so it's not able to actually move forward or do anything because of that. You guys better go inside. Got a couple of PK out here. Renegade Spearman. Fun blend. Yeah, I want to continue to look at this activation code, so I'm going to look a little bit more into their targeting delay and see if there's a way that I can dial up that system. And there you go. I mean, you can see, so the Romero zombies, basically the idea is that they have really sensitive hearing, and they do start moving across the map towards noise, but they move pretty slow. So they'll get there eventually. But so let's go find our howlers, or maybe hopefully lack thereof. Basically, what we should be able to do is streamers are moving throughout the city. Looks like we got, so I think what's happening is that we're spawning the bandits and we're spawning the PK, and they don't have code to deactivate. They don't change based on day or night, and so currently you're going to end up with PK still down inside the map because they're not set to like encounters or anything. So the encounters are turning them off at a certain time, but nothing is turning off players or PK or AI that have spawned during the day, which is a fun one. I always like the auto aim on here where it's auto no. I always like that auto aim where it's like it's following him. You're no longer even like looking in his general direction. You throw the grapple and it's just like, I got him. Little cheat. I have found that the grapple code is hidden away like Fort Knox, um, for whatever reason. Streamers patrolling. We got the poor bastard down on the street. The Romero zombies are moving in. Kind of like them. They're dumb, but they're, what I would ideally want to do is make it to where the Romero zombies get traded out during the night so that during the day they move like that. Oof. So his code is working pretty well. They really do have trouble moving through each other. Get out of the way. Okay. So what we're looking for is the rooftop howlers. Oh shit. Well, excuse my language if there's anybody younger watching. Oh, well, that's a good sign. We have the guy up there eating a body, and I didn't see a howler. Just keep searching here if we can survive long enough. So essentially, these guys have been upgraded to where they will they'll hunt you down. You can see we got a crap. We got another one up there. All right, let's keep an eye out for what was that? A spitter? Oh, that was probably one of them. Let's keep an eye out for howlers on rooftops. See some moving around down below. Still none up top. They go inside. You like, oof. Just keep coming. They're super creepy like that. What is this? Oh, is this the fall through the map glitch? This happened to me the other day. Oh, I didn't fall through the map. It's great. That happened to me the other day where it just randomly played that and then I fell through the map. Okay, so far we got moving ones down below. That I love it. I really do. I like the zombie. I like the howlers moving around down below. That's quite the inconvenience as far as trying to move around the map. They're way more likely to hit you. And the ones that were climbing, they were really only climbing once they heard you. So if they heard you make a noise, then they Shit. If they heard you make a noise, then they would come investigate, kind of thing. But otherwise, it's cool. Around the convoy down there. So can they get on? Oh, they're still coming. So I'm glad to see that that code is actually working really well, maybe too well. These guys will now chase you through the entire damn city. I do not see any howlers, so I might have to turn this over to the Patreon testers to find out, did we kill it? Did we finally get it? If it really was that one, then I cannot believe I missed that earlier. I thought I got that one turned off in the code, but apparently I dropped that change off my Git, which is always the challenge with Git, is that if you basically go through and you start discarding your changes, it's very easy to accidentally remove ones that you meant to keep, and then there's just no record, so you have to back up your work. Your feet. I thought feet. So if this worked, I get the feeling they're going to turn them back on. To answer your question there, David, I get the feeling that they're going to do it for me, and turn that. Oh shit! Oh shit! Oh, that didn't work. I get the feeling they're going to turn the code back on for that. Um, I think it'll just take an update for them to do it. So for that, I'm probably going to just disable it, keep it out of the code for now, and uh, and then let them add it back once they're satisfied with how they fixed it. Because as it stands right now, it's very difficult to add things to their system right now. That's like the new creepy part, is that because they're searching the city, shit, you never know when they're gonna freaking pop out of somewhere. You have to listen out for those damn footfalls. They really did give them like Bigfoot feet or some shit. They're like slapping the pavement with their naked feet, and you can just like barely hear it. You know they're out there somewhere. You just don't know until they come running up. Shit. Okay. Well, I think I mean it will take a little bit more testing, but I'm fairly confident. I didn't run into like 50 of these guys while moving around the map, and so I'm pretty happy that I have a somewhat possible fix here. Whether it's an actual fix or not, we'll find out here soon. I'm sure everybody will be letting me know if it didn't get it. But hopefully that did get that fixed, and we can find out. So there's something in the bus. Oh, and him, I'm guessing. Okay, so let's go ahead and close that out. Let's go ahead and get that pushed out. It's already 11:52, so I'm going to go ahead and start wrapping up here. So fix for howlers. We'll go ahead and get that pushed out. I'm going to go ahead and get this updated for the Patreons, and for the rest of you guys, this will be getting released here hopefully by the end of the week is the current goal. I have a lot of documentation to do. I have a lot of things to crawl through, make sure things are good to go. I'm still trying to aim for having the difficulty settings properly set up, so that you can go in here and change it to easy, medium, or hard, to actually change some of those things around so you get the better gameplay that you want, especially with things like stamina drain and difficulty and that kind of thing. Potentially just change the difficulty, and that fixes, that toggles some things, so to speak. So I'm going to continue to play around with that. Thank you guys so much for your feedback. Thank you guys for jumping on and letting me know your thoughts and letting me know how it's going with the mod. It's really great hearing from all you guys and continue to meet you guys in the community. I really appreciated all the support. Thank you guys again so much. I'm going to have this update here pushed out for a little bit for the Patreons and for everybody else. I really look forward to getting your guys' feedback once 1.0 releases, and look forward to talking here very soon.